And so I want to go take a look at what we really want. Let's decide what we really want. What we really want for this is we want the image to stay at the top. We want the button to line up at the bottom. And really we want this whole thing, the price, the cross out, the price, and the button, all to show up at the bottom of this. And then we want this section right here to be the same size, but in the middle. Okay, so we have an element up here, which is the image, and we have a section here, which would be, it could be its own element, which would be the second piece, and we want this pretty much spaced below that. And then the third piece will be this section down here. And so this is where we get into complications. So I got into this and I literally decided I need to draw it out so that I could show exactly why I'm building what I'm building. So I'm going to take a moment here. You're going to see my hand drawing, and hopefully it will help to understand the structure that we need to create this kind of a column. All right, here goes. So I literally have to draw this out in order for it to make sense. So here's my column. Okay. And what we had, remember we had the two items at the top. We want the image. So I'm just going to put that here. That looks like, that's that's terrible. I'm just going to say I for image. Okay. And then we wanted, next to that, we wanted the header. And then we wanted point 1, point 2, point 3, and point 4. Okay, and we want all of those to stay up at the top. So we had a container around this to hold all of those. And what we need, first of all, we had that second container inside all of this. Let's make sure we have that because we want to be able to move this. So then these are going to also be inside their own container, because we want this container here, the second one is going to have, the spacing is going to say put everything at the top and the bottom. And then down here we have the prices and the button. So we're going to put another container that's going to show up at the bottom of each column. And inside there we have the crossed out price plus this price plus the save text plus the buy it now button. Okay, so now what we have is we have one container, and let's put numbers on these. Okay, so this is this one here is number 1. Then this one here is number 2 inside this second one. We have another container here that's holding these items. Then we have number 3. Number 4, we have number 4, which is here, and it's holding this container and these two elements. And then we have number 5, which is here, which is holding these elements. So essentially, to build this structure, before we even start, we need to go like this. We need to add a container we need to add a container. First of all, we need to add one container, add one. And then inside that container, we need 2 containers. We need 2 containers, and they will be, I didn't spell that right, yeah. And they're going to be inside this. So that's this container and this container. So that's 3 and 4. And then inside that, we need 1 container. We need 1 container, and that's number 5. Right? So that's this one. And then we build it out. So we need 5 containers. We have the main one that comes with the column. We add 1 inside. We add 2, one on top of the other, and then we add 1 inside here. And then what we do is we format this one to keep them all together, and we format this one to keep these all together, and then we put the spacing so that we have them showing at the top and the bottom. That's how we structure a column to make it stay complete. As you remember, we need 5 different containers. So first thing we're going to do is go over here, and we're going to grab a container and put it inside here. So we're going to drop a container inside that container. So let's take a look. So we have a container inside a container. And if you remember from our drawing, that's number 2 on our drawing. The next we need is 2 containers, one on top of the other. So what we're going to do is we're going to go elements, we're going to go container, pull it over, and put it inside this container. But the key here, the trick here, so we have, this is container 1, this is 2, this is 3. Now, number 4 container needs to go on top of this container. So that's where it gets complicated. And here's the way you do that. You don't drag one from the side. What you're going to do is duplicate this container. Now, that's how they automatically get one on top of the other. So if we take a look at these, this container is inside container number 2. And this container is inside container number 2. So again, if you look at my diagram, this top container is going to hold the image, the header, and the container that has all of the list items in it. So inside here, we're going to need another container. So actually the best way to do that, well actually before we do that, let's do this. What we want to do is show you that there's going to be something at the top and at the bottom, and that's in container 2. Remember, container 2 is going to have a layout that looks like this. Vertical, this is top and bottom, and centered. Okay, so we have that set up. Now we're ready to add items to this top container. So we're going to just, for ease of use, we're just going to grab this image and put it inside that top container. So you see we have a bottom container and a top container. So this container then, let's look at it. This container is holding the image, which has some spacing below it now, 30, and that would not come in. We'd have to add that, but that was there because we had it over here. So it has spacing below it, and what we need now is we need to put a container underneath it because we haven't put container number 5 in here yet. So we go to Elements, Container, we pull it over, and we're going to go inside. You can see that it's inside the top container with the dotted lines. It's hard to see them, but the dotted lines are there. So now we have a container that's inside. Okay, so we have container number 1, container number 2, container number 3, container number 4. But we also have container number, this is container number 3, this is container number 4, number 5 that's inside container number 4. This is 4, the top part. Okay? Now this container is going to hold all of these lists and benefits. So we're going to take these. Actually, let's take this and see if we can get it right after that image. There we go. So you can see the dotted line. So I have that heading is inside the container number 4. Or is it? Okay, so obviously this container needs to have layout center. Okay, so we're sort of starting it to make it take shape. So let's go up here. And let's grab this. I'm going to pull it over, and this needs to go in the second container inside that top container, which it does. And remember, we made this container, we sized it down a little bit so that these would be left justified but centered. Okay, so let's go up, and we're just going to add these this way. Okay, so now we have our top container completed. The image, the header, and the lists are all within container 4, and the lists are within their own container, which is container 5. Now, let's go grab these items, and these are going to go in the bottom container. So we're going to grab this one. Now, we need to center these by going to container, let's see, button. It's in the main container. We didn't get that in the right container. This one is in it's the only one that got into the right container. So we're going to grab this again. There we go. You see the dotted lines? Remember when I said this was complicated? Grab this one. All right, now these are inside container number 3. Right here. We're going to center them, layout, vertical, center. And we're going to put them at the bottom. All right, and I'm back, and what I've done is just duplicated everything here so you can see this is what the column looks like. So it's not really impressive right now because we don't have any reason for this. We don't have any space in here. So what we need is we need some differences. Okay, so for example, we're going to go and we're going to change these again. So we're going to this first one, I'm just going to copy and paste. So I made that a little longer. But I want you to notice, I'm going to do Command-Z. Watch what happens over here. Did you see that it automatically went to the bottom and stay lined up? Watch this. Watch what happens here and here on both of these columns. And if we do it again, and we do it again, and we do it again, you see what's happening? We are pushing the entire column down, which means we're pushing these down. So one thing you can see right now is that we're getting these buttons stay absolutely lined up no matter what we do with our text up here. So this would be an example of, let's say, a really good example of this would be, let's say in this one, you're going to get, these 3 benefits. And let's just go back and we'll go. This one, you get this, 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 and you're going to get, another benefit. So let's duplicate that one. This one, you're going to get even more benefits. But look at what happened to the pricing. The buttons stayed lined up the whole time. And this stayed up against the picture the whole time. And we have nothing going on up here. If this image had a different background here, let's just do this. This container, we could put different colors on the container for you to see it, but essentially what we did is this is how you do the structure to build columns so that this price point is going to stay lined up no matter what. Okay, so remember, we have 5 containers to make this happen. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to color them and try to make sense of this. So container number 1 is the container that comes with the columns. So we're going to make that green. All right, that's container number 1, and it obviously holds everything, including container number 2. So in order to see this correctly, we're going to make some spacing happen here. So there you go. 1 is the dark, 2 is the next layer of green, 3 is holding these elements, 4 is this lighter shade of green, which is holding these elements, and then 5 is holding this list. All right, so that is what it looks like. Okay, I went through and I did the colors for each of them again. So I'm going to zoom out like this. All right, so now you can see over here we had this space left in container number 2 because in container number 2 we're layout going top and bottom, right? So if I click on container number 2 and go to layout, remember it's on the put it at the top and put it at the bottom. And so you can see that each one that got shorter on the top container, we got a little more space that is showing. And so we have container 1 is the dark, container 2 is the next, container 3 is holding this, container 4 is holding all of this, and container 5 is holding the list. There you go. I hope that was a helpful instruction of how you can structure your columns so that the buttons and whatever you want to stay at the bottom stay at the bottom.